The next phase of the investigation involved a painstaking attempt to reconstruct the physical attributes of the phenomenon from the vast body of sonar and photographic data accumulated over many years. Although the creature had never appeared clearly in visible light, new algorithms enabled analysts to create composite images from indirect reflections and thermal distortions. The emergent composite revealed a shape that defied classification within known marine biology. The creature appeared to possess an elongated form with no identifiable head or tail. Its outer surface lacked scales, bones, or rigid plates. Instead, it showed fluid segmentation that shifted depending on movement. Some segments expanded while others contracted, giving it the appearance of a living tidal current. The central core of the mass appeared denser, possibly housing organ structures or nutrient transport pathways. The absence of any rigid internal framework suggested that the creature relied on hydrostatic pressure for structural stability. One unsettling discovery emerged from an analysis of residual patterns left in the water column. These patterns suggested that the creature could alter its density, which would allow rapid vertical movement without noticeable turbulence. This density shift might explain its ability to approach submersibles without detection until moments before contact. It also offered a plausible mechanism for the disappearance of vessels, since the creature could envelop targets by altering its form and folding around them. The reconstructed model also highlighted the presence of filamentous structures along the creature's interior walls. These structures appeared capable of secreting the substance responsible for dissolving metal alloy. Chemical simulation implied that this secretion could break down complex materials at the molecular level, converting them into a nutrient slurry. This mechanism resembled the digestion process observed in certain microscopic organisms, scaled up to an unimaginable size. Another significant part of the reconstruction focused on movement patterns. The creature navigated deep trenches with deliberate precision, often following paths associated with nutrient-rich upwellings. It appeared to avoid active volcanic regions, suggesting sensitivity to thermal extremes. The creature also displayed interest in artificial objects that emitted electromagnetic noise. Submersibles and drones were especially vulnerable due to the sound and vibration they produced. Early attempts to categorize the creature drew comparisons to marine invertebrates. However, none possessed the necessary size, adaptability, or biological mechanisms described in the files. Some researchers propose that the creature represented an evolutionary branch that developed in extreme pressure environments, hidden from surface observation for millions of years. Such an organism might possess an entirely separate evolutionary lineage, untouched by the pressures that shaped life in shallower waters. The ability to cloak itself within sonar voids added another layer to its mystery. Analysts concluded that the creature actively absorbed acoustic energy, converting it into metabolic heat. This capability would render it nearly invisible to conventional detection systems. It also implied a significant evolutionary advantage in the competitive darkness of the abyss. The dossier closes this chapter with an acknowledgement that the reconstructed model is only partial. Much remains unknown, including the creature's life cycle, reproductive behavior, and true size. What is known is sufficient to classify it as the most formidable biological discovery ever recorded in classified naval history. Its capacity to swallow submersibles whole, dismantle them molecule by molecule, and leave minimal trace elevates it from unidentified marine anomaly to apex entity of the deep sea. In modern naval operations, references to the creature appear in obscure footnotes, coded hazard maps, and internal briefing materials intended only for crews assigned to deep reconnaissance missions. Although official records never acknowledge its existence publicly, the classified files reveal an ongoing surveillance program dedicated to tracking the creature's migratory patterns. This program relies on sensor networks positioned far below commercial shipping lanes. The surveillance network draws data from deep tethered acoustic sensors that monitor irregularities in sound absorption. Through decades of monitoring, analysts observed that the creature follows a migration pattern that spans multiple ocean basins. It travels along deep currents that act as underwater highways. The timing of these migrations coincides with seasonal nutrient fluctuations and shifts in global temperature patterns. Archived reports state that the creature enters periods of dormancy during prolonged stays in abyssal plains. During these dormant phases, the surveillance networks detect negligible movement and reduced acoustic absorption. These periods offer opportunities for remote probes to study surrounding waters, which frequently contain residual biological matter from previous feeding phases. Studies of this matter show high concentrations of digested metallic particles, confirming that the creature continues to consume artificial objects when encountered. A major concern outlined in the modern files involves the expansion of human activity in deep ocean regions. As mining operations, research platforms, and exploratory missions move into deeper waters, the probability of confrontations increases. Several near incidents describe unexplained collapses of equipment and disappearance of remotely operated vehicles. Official explanations attribute these events to mechanical failure, though analysts privately recognize the familiar patterns documented in earlier classified chapters. There is growing debate among experts regarding the ecological role of the creature. Some argue that it serves as a natural regulator of metallic debris introduced into the ocean by decades of military activity. If true, the creature may be fulfilling a vital environmental function. Others warn that its size and feeding mechanism could pose long-term threats to underwater infrastructure, including communication cables and autonomous research platforms. Recent surveillance data shows that the creature's range has gradually expanded toward mid-ocean ridges. This expansion may reflect changes in temperature gradients or evolving metabolic needs. The files speculate that human-generated noise pollution could be influencing its migration. Continuous sonar pulses from commercial vessels and research ships may inadvertently lure the creature into regions where it previously did not travel. A final memorandum raises the question of whether direct study or containment should be attempted. The conclusion strongly advises against containment due to the immense forces involved and the potential risk to personnel. Instead, it recommends an approach based on observation, avoidance, and minimal interference. The memorandum emphasizes the necessity of updating operational protocols to ensure that all deep submersible missions incorporate the latest hazard coordinates linked to the creature's known paths. The chapter ends with a stark reminder of the limits of human knowledge. Despite decades of research, the creature remains largely unknown, drifting through the deepest corridors of the planet with silent purpose. Its ability to swallow submersibles whole and dissolve their remains stands as a testament to the alien nature of deep ocean life. The files conclude with a recommendation that future generations maintain vigilance, for the creature is not a myth born of sailor stories, but a confirmed inhabitant of Earth's most inaccessible realm. A colossal presence that continues to elude full understanding. Classified records preserved in forgotten naval archives describe an anomaly that confounded Cold War analysts and modern researchers alike. These records were compiled from logs, sonar sheets, and investigative summaries that once circulated only among small circles of high-clearance personnel. To this day, experts debate the origin of the phenomenon, which had been whispered about under unofficial nicknames and never entered into standard naval terminology. The files present a chilling account of something recorded deep beneath strategic patrol routes, something that displayed enormous physical dimensions and an ability to interfere with advanced submersible technology. The earliest archival entry traces back to an incident in the Central Pacific during a routine monitoring sweep. A patrol submersible registered an abrupt loss of acoustic clarity while passing a stretch of previously well-charted seafloor. The sonar operators noted the presence of a moving form that lacked the acoustic signature of known marine animals. Instead of skeletal reflections or internal air pockets, the reflection revealed a uniform density profile with no detectable organs or hard structures. This homogeneous mass-absorbed sound in a way that rendered portions of the sonar field completely blank. Operators referred to the event as a silent void, a term that would appear repeatedly in later reports. Concerns grew once analysts noticed a pattern. Vessels passing through regions associated with this quiet anomaly began to lose auxiliary equipment. External pods, sensor housings, and even small tethered drones inexplicably vanished without leaving debris. The classified committee assigned to the case concluded that the cause was neither mechanical failure nor corrosion. Each disappearance coincided with movement within the blank regions of sonar maps. As more missions reported sudden losses, the committee formed a working group to determine the scale and nature of the threat. Satellite data offered no help because the mass left no surface trace. Thermal imaging from aerial systems revealed slight temperature fluctuations in deep water columns, but lacked the clarity to outline a shape. These fluctuations indicated large moving bodies of water rather than a discrete creature. Only deep sonar arrays could provide consistent hints of its presence, yet even they struggled to outline contours due to the anomalous absorption pattern. Attempts to create a three-dimensional model from the sonar fragments failed repeatedly. The reflections suggested an immense structure with shifting boundaries, as though the mass could alter its form. Some researchers proposed that it was not a single organism, but a cluster of entities acting in unison. Others argued for a biological mass with unprecedented elasticity. A few theorists speculated that the phenomenon might be a geological event, though this explanation gradually lost credibility as more mobile behavior was recorded. The most unsettling detail in the early files concerns a training submersible that vanished entirely. During a scheduled drill in a controlled environment near a deep trench, contact with the vessel ceased without warning. A rescue mission found faint hull fragments drifting near the last recorded coordinates. Audit reports concluded that the submersible had suffered complete structural compromise, yet there were no marks of collision, implosion, or explosive force. The edges of the fragments appeared smooth, as if dissolved or consumed by a substance capable of breaking down reinforced alloys. This finding shifted the classification of the anomaly from unknown geological feature to potential biological threat. The chapter concludes with the committee raising the classification level of all related documents. Navy historians reading these archives today remark on the tone of escalating concern. The final memorandum in this early set recommends the creation of an interbranch study initiative aimed at determining whether the oceans contain a life form large enough to engulf submersibles and advanced enough to avoid all known branch-of-brancher. Detection methods. Within a year of the first vanishing submersible, the committee authorized a sequence of deep trench investigations. These missions aimed to gather concrete evidence of the silent void phenomenon through a combination of experimental sonar arrays and armored probe pods. The archival descriptions of these missions reflect the tension between scientific curiosity and growing fear. The first investigation took place along a trench known for tectonic stability, chosen specifically to eliminate seismic disturbances as a possible source of earlier anomalies. The researchers deployed a grid of buoy-anchored acoustic receivers designed to create detailed mapping of underwater movement. For several days, the receivers returned baseline readings, confirming ordinary biological activity. On the fourth day, the eastern band of the grid recorded a complete blackout in its lower frequency channel. This blackout expanded across multiple receivers as though a massive object had passed beneath them, yet the blackout lacked the turbulence typically caused by large marine animals. The blackout zone maintained a slow and deliberate path along the trench rim. When analysts synchronized the timing of the blackout with internal logs from a probe pod in nearby waters, they discovered that the pod had experienced abrupt mechanical failure at the exact moment the blackout passed its location. The pod's recovered shell, retrieved by a remotely operated deep crawler, displayed the same smooth-edged fractures seen in the earlier submersible incident. Metallurgic reports described partial dissolution of the outer plating and weakening of reinforcing joints. Chemical swabs revealed traces of an unknown organic residue. The second investigation employed heavier equipment, along with reinforced plating tested against extreme environmental stressors. The probe pods carried multi-frequency acoustic sources capable of generating precise three-dimensional snapshots. For the first time, the snapshots captured a partial outline of a mass that reached several hundred meters in length. However, the outline wavered and distorted across successive frames. The archival summary suggests that the mass either shifted shape or that its outer structure interfered with acoustic waves in ways no known creature could replicate. The accompanying chemical analysis introduced another layer of mystery. Samples collected from dissolved metal surfaces contained biological compounds resembling marine mucus, but exhibiting properties that resisted breakdown under laboratory conditions. The compound displayed energy-absorbing characteristics and the ability to retain structure even under intense pressure changes. Its composition did not match any known organism cataloged in marine biology databases. A third investigation focused on the environmental impact of the anomaly. Ocean floor sediment from regions near blackout events showed patterns of disturbance suggesting powerful suction effects. Swirl patterns resembled those left by high-velocity water displacement, yet the force required to produce such patterns exceeded the capabilities of even the largest known aquatic predators. Additionally, the sediment samples contained unusual concentrations of heavy trace elements, indicating that the anomaly may have drawn material from considerable depths. The deep trench missions culminated in a classified symposium attended by experts in biology, oceanography, and material sciences. The combined findings painted an image of an enormous creature or biological phenomenon capable of generating sonar voids, dissolving metal alloys, and manipulating water currents with immense force. Some experts theorized that the mass fed by engulfing submersibles, interpreting their metallic structure as nutrient-rich material. Others viewed the events as defensive behavior from a creature threatened by intrusive technology. The symposium concluded with an urgent recommendation that naval operations avoid specific trench coordinates until further research clarified the nature of the threat. This precaution was included in operational manuals under vague terminology to avoid provoking public speculation. We upload new videos every single day, so make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss what's next. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, it really helps the channel grow. Tell us in the comments what you'd like to see next. Your ideas might be in our next upload. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of our community. Stay tuned, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next video.